Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa Land on this Friday Feels, talking all things dating, love, and relationship. We have John Assaraf, New York Times bestseller, one of my idols. You may have seen him on The Secret, you've seen him on CNN, all kinds of media. He has a new book, Inner Size, and is teaching us how to reprogram our mind.
Yes.
Let's rock and roll with that, right?
Rock and roll, absolutely.
Just the fact that that is possible
Yeah.
is so incredible. Congratulations on all the work you've done and the
Thank you.
millions of lives that you have changed.
Thank you so much. It's such a joy to be able to take my life, which was a mess a long time ago, and help so many other people now so that my life has some purpose and meaning to it.
I love that. So help us break down the whole upset thing. What happens for people?
Oh, I loved when you guys were talking about that before. One of the things I learned many years ago that almost all upsets are rules upsets. So we have rules, and if somebody upsets one of those rules, then we become upset. So the question you ask yourself is, can I change my rules? Or can I have different agreements with people so they understand my rules? Because nobody wants to upset anybody else, right? Like, do you want to upset me? No. So we don't intentionally want to upset each other, but if we don't know each other's rules, if I do this, it'll upset you. Well, let me know that. And so if you understand that, then you can really get better at conveying your rules to somebody else and looking to live within those guidelines.
But what if someone's upsetting you, you don't even really know why? What if it's like an underlying subconscious thing? How do I do an inner size to release those upsets?
Sure. So you were talking earlier about, some of the rituals that you have around, no expectations. Awareness is the key to freedom. So with inner size, one of the first inner size we teach is take 6, calm the circuits. So when you are triggered at the subconscious level that causes this feeling you don't like, then you take 6 deep breaths, one or in through your nose, in 10-second increments of 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, as if you're breathing out through a straw. And that actually starts to deactivate the stress or fear response center. And then you move to inner size number 2, which is called AYA, awareness, intention, action. So awareness of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, and also being aware of why is this triggering me? What is it about what he said, what she said, what they did, what I didn't do that's triggering me? And then you ask yourself, what's my intention in this moment, right in this moment? My intention is to be calm. My intention is to be relaxed. My intention is to be focused. And then you ask yourself, what's one action step I can take to move towards what I want versus what I don't want? So the key is to learn how to recognize and be aware of the emotions, feelings, sensations within you and pause. So when you pause, you're able to choose. When you don't pause, you react.
That takes an incredible amount of self-control, self-awareness.
Yes, practice. Practice. I mean, it took enormous amounts of practice to learn how to speak, how to learn a language, how to learn how to eat with your fork and knife, how to be in a relationship, how to get dressed. That took practice. What's challenging in our society right now is this fast food mentality and this fast food thing. I want it now. And some things you can have now, but self-control, discipline takes a little bit of time. And so you want to practice. And that's really why I developed the book Inner Size, is to give people some tools to master their mindset and their emotions so they could be more at cause and deliberate versus at the effect or expense of life.
I just love that, John. I just love, first of all, love the book.
Thank you.
Of course, love the principles. And they're scientifically based and they're empirically driven.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the science behind it. I think people are interested in that.
Yeah, so many years ago, I got fascinated with how do we become conditioned? How do we develop beliefs? There isn't a baby born with any beliefs or any habits or any perspectives. We might have genetic predispositions, and that's one part, but we can learn everything. And so the science of neuroplasticity says that our brain is consistently making new connections. So every time we hear something, say something, do something, repeat something, our brain creates these connections and then reinforces them. And if we do that over and over and over again, it becomes part of something known as the default mode network or the automatic self. And then your brain wants to conserve energy, so it just repeats that pattern over and over again. So neuroscience has shown us that we can create new connections deliberately. As children, we really don't have that option. But as adults, we do. Now, here is where it becomes a little more challenging. Our brain hates change, and our brain wants to conserve energy. So the hierarchy of what the brain wants to do is keep homeostasis, keep everything the same, even though we may be miserable, even though we may not like the results, even though we know we can change is hard. And so the key is, how do we develop a small discipline, daily little discipline? Earlier you said, John is surgical. I've become surgical in certain things to develop the rituals that are constructive, empowering, and inspiring. And the reason I've done that is because the opposite of that is disempowering, destructive, and expiring my life.
But what about when fear comes into play?
Yeah. Fear is something that is the silent killer, I call, because there are over 50 different types of fear. So why don't we take action? Well, let's say somebody comes and sits here on the sofa, and if they don't have experience and they haven't done this before, in their brain they're thinking, what if I mess up? What if I don't say the right thing? Well, what if I'm embarrassed? What if I'm ashamed? What if I fail? What if I'm ridiculed? What if they never want to invite me back? That is the brain's way of giving you the options of possibilities to protect you. So that's all great. The brain works beautifully in that regard, and everybody's brain works the same way.
I'm really good at that part.
Well, everybody is, but it's not just you. Everybody is. But if you allow fear to run your life, you will never do anything. You will stay in your little shell with the life you have right now, and you won't grow. So fear is a signal that there's potential danger. There's potential pain. There's potential for you to mess up. And so how do you overcome that? So let's go back to the first two exercises. When you feel fear, the emotion is your brain sending the signal where epinephrine or norepinephrine or cortisol has been released into the bloodstream. And it's that neurochemistry in the blood that feels like, oh, I don't like this anxious feeling. So what do? We drink alcohol, we take pills, or we just stop and go do what we were used to doing before. And so if you take 6 breaths and you do the Aya exercise, then you deactivate the fear center, which then brings blood back to your thinking center, the left prefrontal cortex. And now you can say, okay, those possibilities are there. Most of it's probably because of something that I've seen, read, or experienced in the past. Now I want to move forward and do whatever it is.
Okay, so let's play a little devil's advocate.
I love devil's advocate.
So they go, okay, he sounds great, cool, makes sense. But reality for a lot of people, they're like, I don't have time to discipline myself every day and come to this. So how do you help people actually implement this every single day when they come to those blocks?
So there's 2 things on that, Erin. Number 1 is you're either going to pay the price of discipline or you're going to pay the price of regret. Right? Discipline, Jim Rohn says, weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. So think about that for a moment. The second part of this is you have to have some intrinsic, some motivation for wanting to take the risk, for getting out of your comfort zone. So the goal, the vision, the advancement of whatever you want has to be bigger than the fear. And if what you want to achieve is not bigger than the fear, then you will not do it.
Usually
So
it
the
takes
pain-
major pain,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So the pain of staying the same is so much higher
That's right.
than change.
Right. So if you ask yourself, I want to achieve X, I want to do Y. And you go, why do I really want to do that? Why is that so important to me that I'm willing to take the risk? I'm willing to become more disciplined. And if you don't have a real reason why, your brain won't get you there.
But so many people want to avoid the disappointment.
Of course, yeah.
Let's
One
talk
of the
about
biggest fears is disappointment avoidance. And so it's the brain's way of trying to keep you safe. Because emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain, financial pain, in the brain are perceived the exact same way. It's not a different circuit in the brain. And if the brain's number 1 priority is safety first, above all else, safety for my life, safety for my family, my emotions, etc., if that's the way it operates, and anything that challenges that is going to send an electric shock through your body that you're going to just say, put on the brakes. And so one of the ways to get over that is to become aware of it and then ask yourself, what's one small little action step that I could take? You don't have to think about the 10 or 15 action steps. Just say, well, what's one small step that I could take towards that? And when you do that, the brain says, okay, I could do one little action step. So challenge yourself to just take one step. That's all you need to do.
Such a profound principle, really, that consistency is more important than intensity.
That's
really,
right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what else would
And the consistency develops the habit. And so you only have to work long enough to develop the habit until the habit develops you.
But isn't this why, like, say, I mean, really, you are so much more than a coach, but I still consider you a coach because you help and guide people. Isn't this why coaches have programs and things that say you've got to commit, and it is a chunk of money because it gets them committed? Because they might have that glimmer of like, I'm going to do this, but then they'll fall off the next day. But if they've invested and they've committed to a program, then they're in, right?
Well, there's a lot of research within the personal development, professional development arena around people who invest in themselves tend to be more serious than people who are always looking for the free stuff. And it's great to get free stuff. I love getting free stuff. I love giving free stuff. But once you really say, okay, I'm committed, and you put whatever the investment is, you're actually not investing in the program.
Yeah.
You're investing in yourself so that you can be guided either through a book, through an audio, through a coach, through a program. And one of the least expensive ways to do that, obviously, is the free stuff. And for people like me, I write books, and that's why I wrote Inner Size. But when you make an investment in you, you're basically telling yourself, I'm worth it, I'm committed, I'm ready for a change. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter how many things you try, because each time you try, you learn. So you may not get all of the answers with one book or one program, but if you get 1 or 2 or 3 tips and you take action and you move forward, you're making progress.
Well, that's a great way to break free from repetition compulsion, right?
Yeah.
That idea.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
We develop habits, as Rob was just talking about before, is we are habit creatures. And so we just repeat things, whether they're good for us, not good for us, empowering or disempowering. We develop these patterns in the brain, and to conserve energy, the brain says, I'm just going to repeat it. Since you've done it so many times, I'm just going to repeat it because I'm going to conserve energy. Our subconscious mind, which you were talking about before, doesn't have its own opinion. Our conscious mind does. But our subconscious mind is a servant of our habits. So when we talked earlier about I'm disciplined and I'm surgical, I have taken a lot of time to research this for 20 some odd years to understand that I have the most powerful tool in the known universe. I own it. And so do you, and so do you, and so do you, and so does everybody else who's watching it. But we've never been given the user's manual. And we're in an era of time where we're finally getting the user's manual for our most powerful tool, our brain.
It's called Inner Size.
And well, Inner Size, yeah. Inner Size will give you the gateway to that. Yeah, so thank you. That's a shameless plug.
Got your brother.
We know the book kind of walks people through and has the science, neuroscience behind it, but tell us a little bit about your actual program.
Which program?
The program that goes with it. You have audio, you have all that stuff.
So whenever, if anybody buys a book today, over the next few days, we have some specials. So I actually went into the studio to record 9 inner sizes where I act as people's neuro coach in their own brains. And they would normally sell for a couple $100, but we're giving everybody
Who
those
doesn't
inner
want
sizes.
John in their brain?
So I'll guide people every single day in their brains to really use their brain better so they can start to develop the discipline, the habit, the positivity, the confidence and certainty in themselves, because we're all capable of achieving more.
Well, October 6th, you're hosting a brain-a-thon.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is that?
So the Brain-a-thon is, I had this idea a few years ago. I happen to be so blessed to work with some of the top neuroscientists and neuropsychologists in the world. So I asked them if they would come into my studio and teach the world the latest, greatest, cutting edge principles on how do I let go of my limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough or not smart enough? How do I overcome fear of failure or success or disappointment or being embarrassed or ashamed? How do I upgrade my self-esteem and my self-worth so I actually feel worthy of the goals I want to achieve? So on October 6th, I'll be there with Dr. Srinivasan Pillai, assistant professor at Harvard, Dr. Sarah Mackay from Oxford University, trained, Dr. Caroline Leaf, top-notch neuroscientist, Mark Waldman, who's probably watching right now, Lisa Wimberger, and a few amazing experts, Dr. Paul Sheely, that are going to teach people how to use their brain better, but how to get rid of the stuff that's not working in your life and how to start earning more money, being happier, and living the life you were meant to live.
We love when neuroscientists play God. It's good. You know, let's go with that. It's so fun. We love your work. You're
Thank
so
you
amazing.
so much.
You are definitely our family here, and so inspired and great to put some science around the work and really get people into a habit that's going to work for them. Thank you very much.
Can I give people a website to join? If you
Please
have
do.
one, yeah. If people go on a brainathon123.com, brainathon123.com for the Brainathon, and ignitemybrain.com for my new book.
So easy to remember.
Yeah, ignitemybrain.com and brainathon123.com.
So appreciate it.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Stay
you
tuned.
so
We'll be
much.
back
Enjoy.
tomorrow. Good morning,
Thank you.
LaLa.